Welcome to SPED 821. Since we did not have class tonight, I wanted to at least provide some examples of what that skill acquisition activity and strategy is going to look like, and then walk through those deadlines for you for when things will be due and kind of the stages that we're going to do that activity. So one of the things I want to direct your attention to is just show you kind of an example of what this will look like. So a sample skill acquisition strategy that I want to talk about tonight is called power cards. And power cards are adapted from a resource by Katie Wheeler Thomas. And what they do is they really target a specific social skill. You can target things like academic, behavioral, social skills, but you identify a character or something that the student is really interested in and connect that character to those skills that you want the student to be able to do. So for example, on the first power card you see here, this is for a student who really is into dolphins, and so the dolphin is their reminder that this is all about sharing and playing with friends. So the dolphin wants you to remember to share your toys. Friends share toys, even if it's your favorite toy, friends share. So making that connection to something that the student really likes and really is interested in, and then connecting it to that social skill or that behavioral skill that you want to work on. The other one's a good one for if parents are struggling to go out to the grocery store or go out to a store and have their child, kind of staying with them, not running away, and wanting the student to remember those steps for how we do that. So this would be for like a student who's really into dinosaurs. So T-Rex wants you to remember to stay with your parents while shopping at the grocery store, hold onto the grocery cart, and only put items in the cart that mom and dad tell you to. This makes T-Rex happy. So you could print this off, you could laminate it, you could make it really, pretty small handheld power card for the students to carry, almost the size of a business card is kind of the concept of it, that they can carry with them. They can put it in their pocket, they can have it out on their desk, they can have it out maybe at home. That T-Rex power card, you could take it to the store and keep referring the student to it to remind them of those skills. And so a really unique strategy that we can use with students as we work on this. Now, as we are looking at these acquisition skills and interventions to build an acquisition of a skill, we're going to look at, does the strategy match the type of skill deficit? So the power card strategy can really be used to teach a skill, but it can also be used to enhance a skill by using a power card as a visual prompt. So we can either use it as kind of a step-by-step as we're learning to share, or we're learning to go to the store with mom and dad, or we can use it as a visual reminder to just enhance the students' skills in that area. They know how to do it, but they need reminders, and they're not doing it independently yet. So to start, we would teach the skill specifically. So for example, we would teach sharing using that motivator. So in that example, it was the dolphin as the motivator or the hero. And then eventually what we would try to do is kind of fade that story out and have the student generalize the skills using the power card. So one of the things you're going to want to look at in terms of how we select these interventions is we want to really look at the child's developmental language. So language and cognitive skills, and how does the intervention address those things. So for example, in this intervention, we can say you could address a variety of skills. You could adapt it to the student's functioning level. However you need to do that, either by how simple or complex the text is, even being able to do some visuals for the student if they needed visuals instead of text, to have those reminders on those social skills. The next thing I want you to really think about is the strategy supported by research? So, for example, with power cards, there is one research article I found that was published that was kind of a single subject design research study, and we'll take a look at that here in a minute. And it found positive results, but we really can't say that power cards is a research-based intervention from just one single subject design study. One of the reasons I want you to spend some time looking at the research for the intervention you select is because I think it's really good for us to get in that frame of mind when we're looking at interventions and identifying interventions for students, and really thinking about what does the research tell us about this? Is it effective? Because as you guys know, there's a lot of fads in education, right? Different things we can do with students, and those things are not always research based. And eventually we find that those fads sometimes aren't effective. So that's really why I want to point you to the research and get you used to kind of looking at research and analyzing what the research tells us about what works, because it's really important for us as educators to be able to kind of pinpoint those interventions that are really research based. So in the activity, what you will do is you will identify a research study. You will provide the citation for that study. That citation will be in APA format. If you need help with what that would look like, I can send you some examples. And then identify the demographics for the study. So like I said, this was a single subject study, so it was only one male who was 5 years old with autism. And then if there were any other relevant instruments that were used in the study or assessment tools. So in this one, it was just the power cards itself. There were no other instruments or strategies used in the intervention. And then kind of just a super brief bulleted explanation of what the results were for that study. One of the things we can look at is if the strategy is not supported by research, what would be the rationale for using it? Well, sometimes we're not going to always have research studies that we can build on. So we can make decisions on strategy selection by things that the students are interested in or what we know is going to engage them. And we know that with students with autism, a visual strategy is always more successful. So in terms of this strategy, even though there's not a lot of research behind it, it really helps us build on those students' interests, but also use a visual strategy. And both of those are really key for our students with autism learning new social skills. And then I want you to really think about what are the components of social interaction skills that the strategy really addresses. So with this strategy, there's a lot of flexibility in what we're working on in terms of social skills. And even if we're working on acquisition versus skill development, okay, and versus performance. So when we look at this, we really can address all three areas. We can address the thinking, feeling, and doing as we implement this strategy. So this question is going to really get at that. Why do you think it covers those? Or what strategy does it address most closely? Maybe it just addresses one, but really explain your reasoning behind that. So some of the skill acquisition strategies that you can select from, you see here. You know, a common one a lot of us know about is social stories, conversation strategies, lots of prompt strategies that are out there. And then there's some more specific things like task analysis, the Jasper method, relaxation techniques. If you have one that you really want to look into that's not listed here, still send me the name of that. But what I want you to do is really look through these strategies for skill acquisition, identify a couple that you're really interested in learning more about, and send me those two skill acquisition strategies in an email by September 29th. Okay? And then on October 2nd, I will notify the class of what you've been assigned in terms of a skill acquisition strategy. And that will give you from the 2nd to the 6th to really work on those questions that you see outlined in the module activity that you will see in the skill acquisition information within the module that we're currently working on. And then on the 9th, when we meet again in a Zoom course, we will have time for you to really share these resources. I'll tell you that this is a great way to kind of build your library on skill acquisition strategies. Last semester when we did this, I felt like the students really came away with some great, not only ideas of how the strategies work in the classroom, but also that connection to the research that I think is so helpful for you to see how effective it is in the classroom. So I'm excited to see kind of what you find this semester related to these skill acquisition strategies. If you take a look at the assignment just real quickly, and this is also this is also in your module information on the skill acquisition assignment, but you're going to provide the answers for those 6 questions that you see on page 125 in a PowerPoint presentation. Okay, so that's how you're going to share information with us. And those questions are questions to answer when selecting intervention strategies. So it looks at, what's the skill that's going to be targeted? Does the strategy match the type of skill deficit? And I'm just looking through these on page 125. What is the child's developmental level, language, cognitive functioning that would fit with this strategy? Is the strategy supported by research? So spend some time. Get into those library resources that you have access to as a Pitt State student. See if you can find some research articles on that particular intervention. And then if it's not supported by research, what rationale do we have to use it? So think through some of those things that we know about students with autism and how that strategy fits with them. And then finally, what component of those social interaction skills, that thinking, feeling, doing, what component does this intervention really meet? So for those, if you answer question 4, looking at research, if you answer yes to that, I really do want you to really try to find some research for your intervention. Then you will provide that table of information that you saw in the presentation, and then also create that how-to handout. So think about your peers that are in the class. They're learning about a new strategy that you're sharing with them. Create for them a 1 to 2 page how-to handout that they can take and easily have the information they need to implement that strategy in the classroom. And then again on the 9th, we'll have time to each share our strategy and our how-to handout. So if you have any questions on that at all, please don't hesitate to get in touch with me. The key thing to remember is September, let me get the date right, September 29th, you need to have those topics to me, 2 topics that you're interested in. On the 2nd, I will send you your topic. October 6th, handouts, questions on the PowerPoint and the how-to handout are due, and then on the 9th, we will be doing our presentation. So I really look forward to seeing what you find in this, and I appreciate your understanding with class tonight to go to this video format. So don't hesitate to get in touch if you have any questions.